Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. So this episode we're going to actually be doing the first of our rankings. This is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. So let's get started here. There's 8 movies to rank. And the first movie on our list, number 8 for me, is probably going to be a very controversial choice on this one, is Part 2. I really do not enjoy this movie. I think the tone on it is bad. I think the acting in it is bad. Dennis Hopper, I do not enjoy in this particular movie. Don't really enjoy him in a lot of movies, actually. This movie just isn't for me. I don't like the portrayal of Leatherface. I absolutely despise Chop Top. He's not funny. He's not interesting. He's not scary. It's just a bad character. So for me, Part 2 is the one that I watched the least. Just doesn't work for me. I do like Stretch, but that's about it for this one. So let's move on. Number 7 on our list. So number 7 on our list is Part 3, the original Leatherface. For me, this movie is just kind of boring. It's the most traditional slasher of the franchise, but it's really not very good to me. I don't really enjoy this movie. I don't hate it. Actually, Part 2, the one I just did for the lowest position, is the only one on this franchise that I hate. But for me, Part 3 is just dull. I don't like the portrayal of Leatherface. I like the rest of the family enough that it's above the last one, but it's just the least interesting. So yeah, that's number 7. So number 6 on our list. Number 6 on our list is TCM4, The Next Generation, The Return, The Revenge, whichever title it is. I think this is the worst made film. I think this is probably the worst script. But, and I did used to rank this as the very last one. I used to even rank this one below 2. When I was doing my franchise wars, I went back and rewatched them. And I've had a few people that I've talked to about it, and it is just absolutely batshit insane. I hate the ending of it. I hate that whole, absolutely despise the Illuminati bit. It jumps the shark for me. The mask is terrible. Both masks. The killer mask in it looks like they cut up an old worn out football and sewed it together. It doesn't look like human flesh. It looks like an old worn out football or basketball that they sewed together with shoestrings. And then you get to Leatherface has worn a woman's face several times in the series, but this one is bad. So bad. Honestly, it's kind of, rewatching it this time, I saw that it was so bad it's funny. Not good. Not so bad it's good, but so bad it's funny. The chest piece looks like they ripped off a mannequin. Doesn't look like it came off of anything resembling anything that had ever been alive. And then the Pretty Woman, quote-unquote, mask on it, looks like they stuck a tortilla on his face and cut out eyes and a mouth. See? You'll never see it the other way again. Matthew McConaughey is batshit insane in this one and cracks me up this time through. Renee Zellweger did a really good job for the shit she was handed. So the level of insanity of this one has made it somewhat more watchable, but it's still all the way down here at number 6. So, yeah. Number 5 on the list. So number 5 on this list is the newest incarnation called Leatherface. When I was doing my franchise wars, I said this and I'll say it again. If you took off the crap where they tried to fit it, shove it, just crowbar it into the TCM mythology out of it, it's a damn good road movie. It's a damn good film in the middle. The ending of it is bad. Being shot in the jaw is not going to make someone go from a fairly coherent person to somebody who's as mentally stunted as what the Leatherface character is. They worked way too hard at the beginning of it to link it to to the original and to 3D. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't feel right. I actually like the Vera character. I like all 4 of the characters who go on the road trip in the middle. I like the twist that Leatherface kills someone that you thought was kind of there. I won't spoil the end of it if you haven't seen it yet. I do actually recommend seeing this movie, and it's actually... This is the level where it goes from what the fuckery to good movies just with problems. So let's move on to number 4. That's right. My list, number 4, is 3D. I enjoy the hell out of this movie. It's dumb fun. It does work a little too hard to link to the original mythology. They stretch things in a few places where they had to kind of wipe out the dates and, But you know what? I don't really care about that. I don't give a shit. Yeah, it's set 10 years later than what it should be, or they should have had a character, or the main character should have been 10 years older. They hired the actress in it for her appearance and not for an age appropriate for the story they had written. They didn't have enough money to take it back a couple of years and make it period. As much as, 90s can be period. But anyway, so it has some issues. The CG in it is shit. The 3D in it is a bad gimmick. But the movie is dumb fun. And I enjoy this movie. And I can watch this movie a couple of times a year and still enjoy it. So, yeah, that's my number 4. So, number 3 on the list, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, the prequel to the remake. When I did my franchise wars, I said this, and it's, this movie is for people who, for a certain group of people. The remake for it gave you most of the story that you got in the first one, in the original. It did a very good job with that. This one is for people who want to know more about the family. This one, the people who are involved, the normies, are just cannon fodder. Just pure and simply. This is the story of how Leatherface became Leatherface. This is the story of how the family became what it became. It's very good. It's a little over, the gore in it is pushed a little hard. It come out right around the time that the Saw and the Hostel movies and stuff like that were really blowing up, so they really went heavy into the gore. It's not a bad thing, but at this level and in this kind of movie, it is kind of distracting from it, and that's what keeps it at this position. But it is my third favorite on this list, so there is that. I do enjoy it. The guy who plays Leatherface really embodies the character of Leatherface. He moves right. He responds to what's going on around him the way I want a Leatherface to respond. He's huge. Honestly, he's my favorite Leatherface. Much as I do enjoy Gunnar Hansen, yeah, he's my favorite. This is my favorite portrayal of Leatherface. I really enjoy R. Lee Ermey and everybody else that's in the family. So yeah, that's my number 3. So number 2 on my list is the remake. And this movie is awesome. This movie, the original and the beginning are so good. They are so watchable and so rewatchable. But this movie really actually did a super good job of updating the original story and bringing it into a newer time period. They cut out the dinner scene. Of course, if you watch the beginning, you get the dinner scene in that one. That's really kind of the only complaint that I have with this. Like I just said about the prequel to it, Leatherface is awesome. R. Lee Ermey is great. This one is more about the kids coming in and finding the family. You have a couple shots from the original that are recreated with a modern twist. And none of those are bad. None of those are done bad. There's nothing wrong with this movie. Except for the fact that they did it right the first time. So number 1 is, of course,
what happened was true. The most bizarre and brutal series of crimes in America.
Stop! Stop!
This is the movie that is just as real, just as close, just as terrifying as being there. Even if one of them survives, what will be left? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
So the original on my list, number 1 on my list is the original. The original is number 1 on my list. However I want to say it, you want me to say it. I love this movie. The subtle humor, the dry humor, the fact that people didn't get the humor amuses me. Almost no blood in this. There's very little at all. Gunnar Hansen does a great job. Jim Sedow, who I didn't like in part 2. I don't think his acting was very good at all in part 2. He doesn't have so much screen time in this one that he takes away from it. He's not really a great actor. But everybody else I thought really was. Especially for the budget, for the time period, and the way that this was shot. These actors are great. I love Franklin. A lot of people hate him. I love Franklin. He cracks me up. There's something not right with Franklin in the head, but it's not enough that it's a parody. The fact that he's in a wheelchair makes no difference. He's an asshole. He's not a trope. He's not in a wheelchair for sympathy. And even if he was, he runs it right out. When he's half-ass wiping the blood off the van and he's chewing on the sausage like it was a big cigar, just makes you wonder where that sausage came from. But all of the young people in it do a good job with their acting. The opening scene in it, the corpses running into the townspeople, and the fact that they're not right, let alone, it's such a good movie. There are political overtones buried deep within it. The city kids versus the people out on their own. It is definitely an off the paved road, fear the people who don't live in the city kind of movie. But you can watch the movie and not be beaten over the head with it. They don't let their message. They don't have an agenda that gets in the way of their message. Is the best way I can say it. So yeah, that's my number 1 on this list. It's very close between the original and the remake, but honestly, grew up with the original. Nostalgia does play a factor, and I love the original. And I don't care who doesn't love it, I love the original. So that's my list on this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the description down below for all my links. Teespring, Amazon, Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee if you're in a position to help support the channel financially, help me grow, help me get some better equipment, that sort of thing. All those links are down below. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much to anyone who has subscribed, and if you haven't, please do. Down below you'll also find advocacy links and all the other things like that. Social media links are down there as well. And as I always say, thanks for watching, and y'all have a good one.